Okay, let's dive right in. We've all been there, right? That feeling after a monster workout where you are just completely spent, totally empty. But what's really going on inside our bodies when we start to refuel? Today, we're going to look at the surprising science behind your post-workout comeback.
So you just pushed yourself to the absolute limit. You're exhausted, you grab that recovery shake or that post-workout meal. But how long does it actually take to get back to 100%? Are we talking a few hours, a whole day? Well, the answer is way more interesting than you think.
Now, to really get this, we have to talk about something called glycogen. Just think of it as the high-performance fuel that your body runs on. And it's stored in two totally separate tanks. You've got your main engines, that's your muscles, and then you've got this super important reserve tank, which is your liver. Both of them are absolutely critical.
So to figure out how these two different fuel tanks get refilled, scientists came up with the ultimate test. They took a group of highly trained cyclists and basically ran them into the ground.
Okay, so this map lays out the whole experiment. On the far left, you see the cyclists start out with full tanks. We're talking 100% glycogen in both their liver and their muscles. Then comes the hard part, 2 hours of grueling exercise that just drains them. You can see it drops their liver fuel to about 60% and absolutely tanks their muscle fuel all the way down to 35%. And that total depletion sets the stage for what happens next, a 12-hour recovery period where we get all the good stuff.
Really, the study wanted to answer one huge question. Once you are running on empty, what is the absolute best way to fill those tanks back up? And this is where it gets really fascinating.
So, the cyclists were split into two teams. You had the control group, the con group, who basically fasted. For 12 hours, all they got was water or tea. Then you had the second group, the CHO group, and they were put on a very specific, very high carbohydrate recovery diet.
And when I say high carb, I am not kidding. The CHO group was given a massive 10 grams of carbs for every kilogram of body weight. So for the average cyclist in this study, that's over 700 grams of carbohydrates. That is a ton of fuel being pumped into the system.
All right, let's get to the good stuff. Let's start with the results from that first fuel tank, the liver. This is our body's central reserve, the one that's responsible for keeping the whole system stable, especially our brain.
So with all that fuel getting dumped into the body, you'd probably expect a pretty fast recovery in the liver, right? But the real question is, just how fast are we talking?
The results were honestly staggering. Just look at this chart. The cyclists started at 100%, the workout dropped them to 60%, but then, after only 6 hours of refueling with carbs, their liver glycogen didn't just get back to normal, it shot up to 142% of where it started. That is not just refilling the tank, that is intentionally overfilling it.
So yeah, the key thing here is that the liver didn't just get full, it super compensated. It's like the body went into panic mode and decided to stockpile fuel, going way beyond its normal capacity in an incredibly short amount of time.
Okay, so the liver is an absolute speed demon when it comes to refueling. But what about our main engines? The muscles that did all the actual work. Did they keep up with that crazy pace?
This is the other half of the puzzle, isn't it? The muscles did all the heavy lifting, so you'd think getting them refueled would be a top priority too. But did they bounce back at that same incredible speed? Not even close. It was a completely different story. While the liver was overflowing with fuel, the muscles were lagging way behind. The workout just crushed their energy stores, dropping them to a measly 35%. And get this, even after 12 full hours of that high-carb diet, they only managed to crawl back to about 70% full. They were still running on fumes.
Just think about that for a second. Even with a perfect carb-heavy recovery plan, half a day later, your main engines are still running with a 30% deficit.
And this slide just says it all, doesn't it? It's the recovery race, and it's not even a contest. The liver refuels to over 100% in 6 hours. The muscles? Well, they only get to about 70% even after 12 hours.
It's a blowout. The researchers who ran the study summed it up perfectly. They said that even chugging tons of carbs leads to a super fast recovery for the liver, but not for the muscles, at least not within that first 12-hour window. It's just a fundamental difference in how our body prioritizes things. Okay, so these scientific results are incredible. But what does all this actually mean for you, for your training, for your recovery? Let's turn this science into a practical playbook.
Here's the why. Your body's #1 job is to keep the whole system running, and that means survival first. The liver's glycogen is what regulates your blood sugar, which is the only fuel your brain can use. It's non-negotiable. If that runs low, the whole system is in danger. So your body is smart. It sends all the incoming fuel to that central reserve tank first to make sure the command center stays online. The muscles have to wait their turn. It's just triage.
So here are the big takeaways for you. Number 1, the liver always gets its fuel first, and it gets it fast. That's to protect the whole system. Number 2, your muscles are on a much slower timeline. This study suggests they probably need closer to a full 24 hours to get back to 100%. 3, and this is crucial, if you're doing a multi-day event like a tournament or a stage race, you're almost certainly starting day 2 with muscles that are not fully fueled. And finally, number 4, getting those carbs in your system immediately after exercise is vital, mostly because you need to kickstart that liver recovery as fast as humanly possible.
This research really forces us all to ask a new kind of question. We now know that the liver's recovery is a sprint, while the muscle's recovery is a marathon. And understanding that difference, well, that's the real key to building a recovery plan that actually works.